been so, so good to me. Before I took a breath, you breathed your life in me.
Well, good morning. We're so glad that you chose to worship with us at the Journey Church this morning. We're still on lockdown from COVID-19, and so we're really excited about the traffic that we're seeing in our church on our church's Facebook page. If you want to worship with us at the Journey Church on Facebook, you can go to The Journey Church Louisville. All one word, no dots or dashes. Just go to the top in the search bar of your Facebook page and type in The Journey Church Louisville. Of course, our messages are recorded and they're put out on YouTube as well, and we also send them to Twitter. We're trying to get the Word of God out to as many people on as many different social media platforms as is possible. Well, we hope you've had a great week so far, and today we would like to wish every mom a happy Mother's Day. So the Journey Church is really excited about not only the mothers that are in our church, but also those in our community, out in the public. We just want to wish every mom a very happy Mother's Day. Well, today's message is entitled, Mothers Need Encouragement, Help, and Hope. Mothers need encouragement, help, and hope. We are taking a break today from our current sermon series in the book of Acts in order to focus on some very important people in our society, mothers. God's Word says something very important about mothers in the Ten Commandments. Exodus chapter 20, verse 12 reads, Honor your father and your mother, that your days may be prolonged in the land which the Lord your God gives you. Today, we seek to show honor to our mothers in two ways. One, our church bought a women's devotional book and drove it around to all of the mothers in our church. Some of them may actually get the book this afternoon on Sunday afternoon. And for those ladies that are not mothers or might be mothers one day down the road, we wanted to bless them with one of the devotional books as well. Number two, we hope this message about the special yet sometimes very difficult role of mothers will bless the hearts of women that watch this sermon. Mothers, we love you, and we are very thankful for all that you do for us. You know, mothers are very special people, and they have a very important role in life. That role is not always an easy one. Sure, there are happy, fun, incredible, and memorable moments that they enjoy, but being a mother can be a very difficult role at times over the years. Please allow me to start off our message today with a caring and comforting word. This month, on May 31st of 2020, will be my 25th year in ministry. Over that length of time, I have come to realize that so many women struggle with celebrating on Mother's Day or even going to church to a worship service. There are many women who will not go to church on Mother's Day because of some major pain they still feel from their past. Maybe they never knew their biological mother. Maybe their mom gave them up for adoption at a very early age. Maybe they never got along with their adoptive mother. Maybe they never were adopted and went through life without a mother's love and nurturing. Maybe their mom was a very poor mother in raising them, and so there is some pain still in their hearts. Maybe their mom showed favoritism to a sibling, and so their heart is hurt and bitter. Maybe their mom passed away and they still really miss her. Maybe they have become a mother themselves and have had a child pass away as a baby, or maybe as a young child, or maybe even as an adult child. Maybe they have had a child that has hurt them and walked away in disobedience and possibly said very hurtful things to them. Maybe they want to be a mother, but they have never been able to have children because of never getting married. Maybe they got married but have struggled with infertility issues for years. Maybe seeing other women with children and being recognized with cards and gifts is just too hard. There may be other reasons, but the fact is, many women and mothers struggle with Mother's Day each year. If this is you, I want you to know that I care deeply for your pain and your sorrow. I hope the Lord Jesus Christ will walk with you through your pain and sorrow and bring you comfort and healing, hopefully through this message. Today I want you to know that you are not alone. Many women struggle with various issues of pain, hurt, emptiness, sadness, and loss. My heart is with you, but I hope today you will be encouraged, realizing that you are not alone. Also, we're not just focused on mothers, but also grandmothers. A mother and grandmother never loses their deep desire to love and to care for her family and see that they do well in life. They care about their family all the way to the grave. In the Bible, in the beginning of our earth's history, even the very first mom, Eve, had struggles in motherhood. For example, Eve lost one of her sons, Abel, to death. And it was her other son, Cain, that murdered him. Can you imagine the pain that Eve as a mother went through? Sarai, Abram's wife. Sarai lived with infertility for years. She lived through a severe famine. She was abducted by Pharaoh, the king of Egypt, to be his wife. Now, fortunately, the king let her go when he realized that she was not Abraham's sister, but rather his wife. Sarai was impatient, waiting for a son to be born to her, so she gave her handmaiden to her husband, who slept with her. So now she had her half-son living with her in her home. When Isaac was finally born, and by the way, Sarai was 75 years old when she had Isaac. So when Isaac was finally born, as God promised, now Sarai had a blended family to raise, along with Hagar still in the picture. Leah, Jacob's first wife. Leah realized that Jacob did not really love her, but that he loved Rachel instead. And even though she was able to bear Jacob children, it really didn't cause him to love her that much more. Rachel had trouble giving birth to a son because she knew that that would really please Jacob. Rachel, because of her despondency as a mother, meaning she knew Leah was able to give him children, she gave Zilpah, her maid, to Jacob as a wife so that hopefully she could get pregnant for her and give Jacob a son in her stead. So Zilpah did get pregnant, and now Rachel had a half-son and a blended family to work with. Moses' mother. Moses' mother lived with the daily fear that her baby boy was going to be killed due to the Pharaoh's edict that all the baby boys were to be killed. Moses' mother had to be brave and send her child Moses floating down a snake-infested river called the Nile, hoping in her heart that God would take care of him somehow. Hannah, Elkanah's wife. Hannah struggled with infertility, so she was despised by Elkanah's other wife, Peninnah, and that she could bear Elkanah some children. So Hannah wept at the temple before the Lord. She begged in prayer to the Lord for a son. God graciously answered her prayer and gave her a son, and she named him Samuel. Hannah promised to give her son to the Lord's work, so she had to keep her word. Therefore, she did not have the joy of raising Samuel in her home from a baby all the way to an adult. Two mothers in pain in King Solomon's day. This is a story of two mothers. One mother accidentally rolled over onto her baby in the middle of the night and accidentally smothered it to death. The next morning, she took the other woman's baby and said that the live baby was hers. So the two mothers claimed the living baby as theirs before King Solomon. It was King Solomon's job now to decide which mother was the baby's real mother. If you'll remember that story in the Bible, that King Solomon asked for a sword to be given to him so that he could cut the baby in two and give one half to each mother. Well, we found out really quickly which one the real mother was. The woman that was not the real mother was actually selfish. She said, that's fine, cut the baby in half, and I can have half and she can have half. The real mother would never allow her baby to be cut in half and killed. And she said, go ahead and give the baby to the other mother. She would rather that baby live. That was a mother's love, and that's how King Solomon was able to discern which mother was the real mother of the baby. Well, Bathsheba, the baby that was conceived from the adultery with King David, died. But she and David had another son, Solomon, and she also had to endure the fact that her husband had been killed by David. Mary, Jesus' mother. Mary had to endure harsh judgments from the society for having a baby out of wedlock. Mary had to see her son Jesus mocked, beaten, and tortured, and finally killed on a cross for for her sins and the sins of the world. Now, there are many other stories of mothers in the Old Testament and New, but I just wanted to bring out a few just to show you that not just mothers in the 21st century have a very difficult time sometimes being a mother, but also women in the past in the Bible have had difficulties in motherhood. Now, let's fast forward to mothers today. When I think of mothers today, I immediately think of these two words: overwhelmed and tired. Overwhelmed and tired. Many mothers today work outside the home and come home, keep house, grocery shop, cook, clean the house, sweep, vacuum, mop, wash clothes, fold clothes, put away the clean clothes, clean the dirty dishes from dinner, pay bills, get the kids baths, run the kids to and from their school programs like plays, theater, band, their sporting games. They go to stores to shop for groceries and food for their family, etc. Many moms serve in their schools on committees like PTAs and pageants, and they also serve in their churches in ministry roles. On top of that, many mothers have health issues that have made it difficult for them to just live life each day. So when a mother doesn't feel good because she has health issues herself, she also has to take care of her children and husband, and they may have health issues as well. Also, some mothers are now single mothers, having to raise their children alone, maybe after a separation, a divorce, or a death. Well, currently, many mothers are working from home due to COVID-19. And their children are home, too, due to COVID-19 closing the schools. So moms are trying to work and teach their children online at the same time. Sometimes the husband is also home working due to COVID-19, and so the entire family is cooped up together, so that mother's trying to take care of her home with everyone there 24/7. Most mothers are living in a constant state of worry, concern, and fear about their husbands and children coming down with COVID-19 or with any other cold or virus, and then them having to go to a doctor's office or maybe even to a hospital. So, our mothers today desperately need encouragement, help, and hope. You know, husbands and children can really step it up, and they can be such a blessing to their wives and mothers during these very stressful days in this way. Number one, encouragement. There are several ways to encourage the mothers in our lives. Number one is verbal encouragement. We can all speak more. We can all come alongside that mother and say, you know what, you're doing a great job. And I can see all that you really have on your shoulders right now. I just want you to know that I've really been enjoying those meals you've been cooking. Thank you so much for all the clean clothes. And thank you so much for a clean house. And Mom, I really see that you're doing some wonderful things. So the husband and the children can come alongside that mother with some verbal encouragement. There's also written encouragement. It might take a little more effort, but you could actually buy a card and you could actually write something very special and say, you know what, I see what you're going through lately. I know that this is a difficult time, and I know that the kids are home because schools are closed. I know that this is difficult, but I'm very proud of you and all of the responsibilities that you're maintaining. So there's verbal encouragement, there's written encouragement, and there's also gifts. You could get a gift and make it a surprise gift as a source of encouragement. You don't have to go out and spend a lot of money. You can get an inexpensive gift. Remember, it's the thought that counts. It's the love that's behind the gift. Expensive gifts are not the point here. Just that thoughtfulness, that love, that care, that recognition, and that appreciation for all that mothers are doing, especially while COVID-19 is going on. So those are some ways you can encourage the mothers and grandmothers in your lives. Number two, help. There are several ways that husbands and children can help. Husbands and children can help around the house. Now, I know that the husbands and children are not going to jump up and down about that one, but our mothers do this for our homes all the time. So wouldn't it be awesome? Wouldn't she feel like she's having some help at her side if the husbands and the children would really help around the house? And then husbands and children can run errands for Mom. I know that it's really important for my wife, who's a mother, when I tell her and say, honey, you know what? I've got to run that for you. Let me go ahead and take that. Let me run that for you, and I'll go pick that up. She's like, oh, would you? That would be such a help, because when you take an errand or two or three off of her schedule, that just brings a sigh of relief, and they just feel much better, and they're helped. And so husbands can be less disagreeable and selfish. Think of her for a change. Don't think about what pleases you. Think about what would please and honor your wife and the mother of your children. Children can be less disagreeable and more obedient. Children, take this time to say, look, my mom has a lot upon her shoulders, and just by doing what my mother says the first time, doing it with respect, doing it with love, and doing it quickly, that would help your mother more than you can possibly imagine. Give mom a break. Tell her to go on a walk. It's beautiful days outside. If you could take care of some things in the house, that would be great. Take a nap. Have her just go take a nap. Maybe tell her that she can go read a good book or listen to some of her favorite music on Amazon. Or go take a bubble bath. Moms need more downtime. If there's a way that you can process for a mom to be able to get some more downtime, I'm sure that that would just really lift her spirits. Number 3, hope. Our mothers need more hope. There are several ways to inspire hope. Husbands, you can step up your leadership in the home. Moms usually have to lead in most households because the husband refuses to lead. He is passive than active in his family's leadership. Husbands, lead out Bible study with your family and getting the family up for church. Right now, due to COVID-19, you can work to get your family up and ready to watch your church's live streaming or pre-recorded sermons on Sunday mornings on YouTube or Facebook. Then, once churches reopen, husbands can lead well by preparing the night before to have a plan for their wives and children to be up, get dressed, and be at church on time. When a mom can attend worship services, listen to this closely, husbands and children. When a mom can attend worship services regularly, she can be fed, grow spiritually, and pray about what's on her heart and hear the Lord's love and direction and care for her and for her family's life. When a husband will not get up and take his wife to worship regularly, he is keeping her very much from the hope that could be in her life. God desperately desires for mothers and grandmothers to have hope in their hearts and lives as they live their daily life. Children, you can give your mom hope by continuing to show her how raising of you and her teaching of you and her training of you is helping you become a good, solid person and adult in the future. Moms want to know that what they're doing is working and what they're doing is worthwhile, and what they're doing is appreciated. And children and husbands, you can tell them this. Husbands and children, you can both pray for the wife and mom. You can pray for her privately that God would give her heart hope. You can also come up to her in the kitchen, in the living room. You can come up and ask her if you could pray for her right now and just put your arm around her. I guarantee you she would say, that's fine, sure, pray for me, I need it. And so you can also pray an uplifting and hopeful prayer for her. When a wife or a mom hears the husband and children praying for her, that brings such a blessing. I can't even tell you what that's like. Well, our mothers do so much for us. They bleed love drops in their hearts for us when we are hurting or we are in need of anything. Husbands and children, your wives and mothers need encouragement, help, and hope. Oftentimes, our wives, mothers, and grandmothers feel like droopy flowers. It is because they are worn out and exhausted. Our doing the things mentioned in this message today is like you taking a water hose and gently spraying a beautiful flower that is wilting and just needing some refreshment. You will see your wives and mothers and grandmothers transform right in front of you. You will see her smile more, grow more, and enjoy life more when you do the things that are mentioned in this message. Well, I want to read to you in Proverbs chapter 31, starting in verse 24, going to 31. Let's read the very last part of the book of Proverbs in chapter 31, and let's see what God says is a really honorable, praiseworthy wife and mother. She makes linen garments and sells them, and supplies belts to the tradesmen. Strength and dignity are her clothing, and she smiles at the future. She opens her mouth in wisdom, and the teaching of kindness is on her tongue. She looks well to the ways of her household, and does not eat the bread of idleness. Her children rise up and bless her. Her husband also, and he praises her, saying, many daughters have done nobly, but you excel them all. Charm is deceitful and beauty is vain, but a woman who fears the Lord, she shall be praised. Give her the product of her hands, and let her works praise her in the gates. Well, I want to end today's message with sharing with you the story of a woman who went through a lot of difficult things. You know, we read about in the passages back in the Old Testament about some of the women that went through some major struggles in their motherhood, and also in the New Testament with Jesus' mother, Mary. But I want to talk to you about a mother, really briefly, that was a mother in our current day. So let me read to you. This is coming out of Failing Forward, John Maxwell, and he talks about the very famous humor columnist writer Erma Bombeck. Now, some of you younger people may not know that name, Erma Bombeck, but a lot of people have over the past decade. She wrote a humor column, and let me tell you kind of what she went through as John Maxwell explains. The late Erma Bombeck, who wrote a widely syndicated weekly humor column until a few weeks before her death in 1996, had a firm grasp on what it meant to persevere and fail forward without taking failure too personally. Erma Bombeck traveled a road that was filled with adversity, starting with her career. She was drawn to journalism early in life. Her first job was a copy girl at the Dayton Journal-Herald when she was a teenager. But when she went off to college at Ohio University, a guidance counselor advised her, forget about writing. She refused. Later, she transferred to the University of Dayton, and in 1949 graduated with a degree in English. Soon afterwards, she began working as a writer for the obituary column and the women's page. That year, adversity carried over into her personal life. When she got married, one of her deepest desires was to become a mother. But much to her dismay, her doctors told her that she was incapable of having children. Did she give up and consider herself a failure? No. She and her husband explored the possibility of adoption, and then they adopted a daughter. 2 years later, a surprised Erma became pregnant, but even that brought her more difficulties. In 4 years, she experienced 4 pregnancies, but only 2 of the babies survived, so 2 of the babies died. In 1964, Erma was able to convince the editor of a small neighborhood newspaper, the Kettering Oakwood Times, to let her write a weekly humor column. Despite the pitiful $3 per article she was paid, she kept writing, and that opened a door for her. The next year, she was offered the opportunity to write a 3 times a week column for her old employer, the Dayton Journal-Herald. By 1967, her column was syndicated and carried by more than 900 newspapers. For slightly more than 30 years, Erma wrote her humor column. During that time, she published 15 books, was recognized as one of the 25 most influential women in America, appeared frequently on the television show Good Morning America, was featured on the cover of Time magazine, received innumerable honors such as the American Cancer Society's Medal of Honor, and was awarded 15 honorary degrees. But during that span of time, Erma Bombeck also experienced incredible troubles and trials, including breast cancer, a mastectomy, and kidney failure. And she wasn't shy about sharing her perspective on her life experiences. Quote, I speak at college commencements, and I tell everyone I'm up here and they're down there, not because of my successes, but my failures. Then I proceed to spin all of them off, a comedy record album that sold 2 copies in Beirut, a sitcom that lasted about as long as a donut in our house, a Broadway play that never saw Broadway, book signings where I attracted 2 people, one who wanted directions to the restroom and the other who wanted to buy the desk. What you have to tell yourself is, I am not a failure. I failed at doing something. There's a big difference. Personally and career-wise, it's been a corduroy road. I've buried babies, lost parents, had cancer, and worried over kids. The trick is to put it all in perspective, and that's what I do for a living. The point of view kept Erma Bombeck down to earth. She liked to refer to herself as a former homeroom mother and obituary writer. It also kept her going and writing through the disappointments, the pain, the surgeries, and the daily kidney dialysis until her death at age 69. So what I really want to do is to encourage mothers to say, we know that you have a very difficult life. Sure, there's some great moments, happy moments, memorable moments, but there can be very difficult days that you endure. And I, as a pastor, want to reach out and encourage you through this message that I see that, I know that, and I want you to know that I love you and I'm going to pray for you. And also I'm wanting your husbands and children to come alongside you as mothers and grandmothers and for them to get it, for them to understand what it is that you go through on a daily basis, and for you to know that you're loved and cared for by them, and that they are thankful and appreciative for all that you do for your home. And so I just hope that you have a wonderful Mother's Day. I know that typically on a Sunday, a lot of families like to take the mothers and grandmothers and take them out to a local restaurant and to be able to celebrate and have balloons and cards and all of those things. Well, during COVID-19, that's going to make it pretty difficult. And so it's going to be a very difficult day today on Mother's Day, but I hope you feel loved and cared for and appreciated, and I hope that we can really help your lives to be so much better, so much encouraged, and we want to encourage you, and we want to help you, and we want to give you hope throughout the rest of 2020. May God bless each of you mothers and grandmothers in a most powerful way, so much so you can't take it all in. Well, God loves you and I love you. Have a blessed week.